So you have the final installment of the First King saga for me? Yes, sir, I do. Fantastic. My brain nearly liquefied at the end of the last one. Sorry about that, sir. We've tried to tighten this one up a bit more. Fingers crossed. So, what happens in this thing? Well, God is trying so hard to convince King Ahab that he actually exists and to get Ahab to worship him, but it's just not working out. Yeah, about that. What's the deal with Ahab? I don't understand. Well, God has faced this sort of thing countless times before now. Yeah. People not believing in him, people worshiping other gods. True. And most of the time, he just kills whoever isn't stepping into line quick enough. So why is God so patiently focused on getting Ahab into the fold here? Oh, just extremely unclear. Is it because Ahab is a big piece of God's plan going forward? Nope, he's dead by the end of this one. Oh. Does he ever demonstrate some saving grace? Or experience an epiphany at least that makes him realize the error of his ways before he meets his end? Not even close. Huh. Yeah, me and the guys seem to have invented a character with no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And this is the guy God is bending over backwards to recruit. Yep, interesting. Yeah, Ahab's next dick move is to flat out steal some guy's vineyard. Oh man, what's going on there? Well, he's out one day and he sees this nice piece of land owned by this fella named Naboth. Okay. And he thinks Naboth's vineyard would be a great spot for a vegetable garden. The king is involved in the planning of vegetable gardens. Well, yes. Oh, wow. So he makes an offer on Naboth's vineyard, a fair one at that. If you say so. I do. But the land has been in Naboth's family for years, and he doesn't want to sell. Gotcha. So it sounds like Ahab is going to use his status as king to misappropriate Naboth's land. Actually, Ahab just goes home and sulks. Very majestic. And it's his wife Jezebel who pulls the strings to make the land grab. Oh, a king sulking while his wife steals land for a vegetable garden is tight. Yeah. So Jezebel arranges a day of fasting for the local bigwigs. And it's at this event that she tasks a couple of scoundrels to falsely accuse Naboth of cursing both God and the king. That dastardly woman. And she instructs the local noblemen to punish Naboth for his spurious crime. I get it, by having him forfeit his vineyard to the king. Well, what an underhanded, treacherous pair these two are. They're not stopping. So is God going to give them the comeuppance they so richly deserve? Stay tuned. Now, with Naboth falsely accused of blasphemy and treason, it's time for him to be punished. And God sends his angels to save the innocent Naboth from Ahab's and Jezebel's treachery. Oh yes, that's exactly what happens. Really? Yep, God steps in, does a backflip, snaps the bad guy's necks, and saves the day. Oh my gosh, that's awesome! I'm just kidding, that's not happening. Oh. No, God sits back yet again, of course, while an innocent man is murdered. Okay, that does make more sense. Obviously. Poor Naboth. I hope it was quick. He's stoned to death. Oh, they went for maximum suffering and terror. Hell yeah. God is so good. Always. So evil prevails yet again while God does nothing. Oh, don't you worry. God's going to do something at some point. Oh, is he? Yes, just not right now, and only after a lot of needless collateral damage. Gotcha. Yeah, so with Naboth properly pulverized, Ahab takes possession of his vineyard. Wonderful. But then God sends Elijah to tell Ahab and Jezebel that he's not too happy about that and that they're cursed now. Finally, it's going to be hard for Ahab and Jezebel to escape God's justice now, what with a curse and all. Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yep, when Ahab hears about these curses, he tears his clothes, dresses in sackcloth, and fasts, and he's just so meek. That's hilarious. He actually thinks acting apologetic for his crimes against Naboth is going to placate God. Yep. What a doofus. And it works too. But God is impressed by Ahab's contrition. There is no way God is buying this. God is buying this. You have got to be kidding me. Nope. God asks Elijah, have you noticed how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Instead of bringing disaster on his house now, I'll just do it in the days of his son. Oh, it's Ahab's son who gets to pay for Ahab's crimes. Yes. What about the whole children are not to be punished for the Flintstones? Meet the Flintstones. For the sins of their fathers. They're the modern Stone Age family. Knock it off. Let me just process this for a second. Oh, please don't. Let me get this straight. God damn it. Ahab has spent a big chunk of First Kings flipping his middle finger in God's face. And that was after his wife Jezebel killed countless numbers of God's priests and prophets. And rather than squash these two heathens like the vermin they are, God sends Elijah over to give Ahab a friendly heads up that there's a drought coming, presumably because Ahab is worshiping Baal, though you never actually got around to stating that. And then, despite the fact that there's no mention of Ahab changing his evil Baal-worshipping ways, God just goes ahead and ends the drought anyway. So, what was the point of the drought? Whatever. And then God obediently jumped through hoops on Elijah's command in the hopes of convincing Ahab that he is the one true God with that whole burning cow miracle contest. Yes. And despite seeing it with his own two eyes, Ahab ignored the clear and obvious signs God gave him. Yep. And rather than end Ahab for his stubborn non-belief right then and there, God was still determined to win him over. He was. Even though this despicable piece of human waste was totally okay with handing over his own wives and children to a foreign power at one point. Kind of forgot about that. And despite that, God helped Ahab in battle against this foreign power, allowing the Israelites to prevail over a much larger Aramaean force twice. That does appear to be what I wrote. And even that doesn't turn Ahab towards God, yet God still wants him on his team. Yep. So after all of it, Ahab and his wife murder an innocent man, steal his land while God does nothing to stop it. Well, God does curse them as a result. I'm sure that was a great comfort to Naboth's family. Yeah. So, just when you think God must be cranking up his smite-o-meter to, at least medium well, Ahab does the whole, I was a bad little boy routine, and God falls for it. Well, he was in sackcloth, so... And, he was meek. And that's enough for God to call off the holy ass-kicking for Ahab and pencil it in instead for Ahab's son. Well, none of that matters, because by the next chapter, God is planning Ahab's death. Oh, God has changed his mind in the span of a single chapter? Yeah, how about that? Wow. Yeah, there's this whole scene described by a prophet named Micaiah of a sort of high council up there in heaven. Whoa, slow down. Who's Micaiah and what happened to Elijah? Don't know. Well, okay then. And what's up with this council? God is asking, someone, how they're going to lure Ahab to his death. Who exactly is God talking to? Oh, very unclear. Okay, and they're trying to lure Ahab to his doom, you say? Yes, God finally wants him dead, we decided. It's about time. Is there some reason God doesn't just blast Ahab to smithereens? Well, he could, obviously. Like he did with Uzzah. Oh yeah, finger of death. Very cool. But he's going to use a dumb, stupid way instead. Gotcha. Yes, God and his council decide that a complex plan utilizing deception and blind chance is the best way to accomplish the murder of Ahab. Deception, eh? Interesting. Oh, it is. God sends a deceiving spirit to 400 of Ahab's prophets. And they tell Ahab his upcoming battle against the Aramaeans will be successful, even though God knows it won't be. Such a sneaky, deceiving deity. Yep, and it works, because this is where Ahab meets his demise. Oh boy, this could be an epic scene. You think? Oh, hell yes. Ahab has been spitting in God's face for years by this point. 22 to be exact. 22? Goodness. And all that time, God has been trying to turn Ahab away from false gods and toward him, the one true God. Indeed. So after all these chapters and all this time, and after Ahab has rebuffed all God's efforts, we at last get to the big payoff, right? Oh, you bet. So, did you write like a duel to the death between Ahab and one of God's hand-picked champions? Oh, that would have been cool. We just have him getting hit by a lucky shot from a random arrow. What? Oh yes, it's just some random arrow shot by some random guy that finds some random chink in Ahab's armor. Wow, that's so underwhelming. He bleeds out, dogs lick up his blood, and that's it for Ahab. So what do you think of the big finale to 1 Kings? You know when Charlie Brown's trying to kick the football while Lucy's holding it? What?